Alright guys, we got the loader on the trailer. We're heading up to the shop. Unfortunately, we got transmission problems. It goes good when it wants to, and it don't go nowhere when it don't want to. I don't know what the heck's going on. It's been working fine, out of nowhere, started acting up. I don't know if you can see it back there, if the sun will let you see it, but I started with the simple stuff, checked the oil, checked transmission filter. They all look pretty good. It seems to be getting air in the transmission fluid. So I'm gonna pull up here in the shop and pull the strainer out of the bottom of the transmission case. See if we don't possibly have a plugged up strainer or something stupid going on there. And start troubleshooting from there. See where that leads us to. So anyways, we're gonna get her up here to the shop, get her unloaded. I gotta make room in the shop to get it in. Check out strainer and see what we got, see if we can make her go. Get this thing to move enough to at least get to the shop. It's not the easiest to crawl up that ladder holding the camera. Come on, baby. Somebody needs to do some window washing. Well, I don't know if it's gravity or the transmission working, but we're moving. Come on, baby. I think we're gonna make it. The good news is the shop's all downhill from here. Dipstick hole to drain the transmission oil. It's just a lot more controllable size hole than the drain pan on the bottom. Hoping to minimize my mess. Not sure if that's going to work or not, but we'll find out. Been a while since I messed with this, but that is the suction tube. I'm pretty sure the strainer is behind that plate. I tried to find it in the book, but gave up. So next best way, take it off and see what falls out. pretty sure that's not our problem. I guess the next thing I'm gonna check is this filter housing has a bypass valve. So not all the oil goes through the filter. Some of it's allowed to pass straight on through. I'm gonna see if that valve's not stuck and forcing all the oil through the filter. If it's not flowing enough oil to do what it needs to do. That one's probably a long shot, but it's the next thing in the system I want to check. Well, don't see that looks too horrible there. All right, guys, we're back on the loader project. I think the next thing we're gonna do, I've been reading this book. Everything says I need a certified mechanic. This is the closest I can find to a certified mechanic. You know what's wrong with it? Huh?
No.
You don't know what's wrong with it?
No.
Did you break it?
No.
You
You
sure?
did.
I don't think I did. I think it broke itself.
No, you did.
All right, so the next thing we're gonna check is the pump pressure, which I believe is supposed to be 350 PSI. I don't have the right gauge to do it. The pressure point tap is right here. So I'm gonna pull that fitting out. And it's an O-ring style fitting. And I got this little contraption I rigged up here. Get it out of there. Got a washer on a pipe for that. I'm gonna put an O-ring right there. See if I can get the seal up good enough to get a pressure reading. See what happens. So, think it'll work? Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's try it once. Hopefully it works. So, there's what come out of there. And this is the contraption I made to go in there. May get an oil bath out of this, but gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. All right, I got my gauge hooked up. We're gonna fire this thing up. What we're hoping to see is about 300 to 350 pounds. And this would be transmission pump pressure in general, so. You ready? All right, here we go. Figure out whether I got a pump problem or something on the back side of the pump, whether it be transmission, torque converter, or valve. So this is the line that comes into the filter housing from the pump. And then this line here I took off goes to the transmission. We know from my first test I have no pressure. I was supposed to have 320 to 350 pounds and I had like 75. So I rigged up this hose here, which has basically got a valve on the bottom of it, going into that thing there. And basically my plan was to kind of squeeze off the flow of the pump and see if the pump would build pressure, basically trying to eliminate the pump as the problem. And as you can tell from the mess on the floor, pretty confident the pump's good. Within about, I didn't start the engine, within about 2 or 3 cranks, it's immediately got like 1,000 pounds of pressure. So pretty sure we don't have a pump problem. We got some sort of valving problem. I'm gonna do a little more reading in the book. I think the next 2 places I'm gonna go is there's a modulator valve for the torque converter that could be stuck, or there's possibly the relief valve for the torque converter that could be bypassing. There's a neutral valve as well, basically whenever you hit the pedal. I think it's called the neutralization valve, but basically whenever you hit the brake, it disengages the transmission so you can raise the boom. I tested it with air. It seems to be working fine. I don't think that's the problem. But I don't know, keep digging, see what we find. It's gotta be in there somewhere. pointing back in their transmission region. So I don't know, I need a breather. I'm gonna come up for air. I'm covered in oil. And I need to sit down and do some reading on this book, see if I can figure out where the next logical place to go looking's at. So I'll keep you all posted. Hopefully we find it sooner rather than later. All right, guys, I had some extra help with me here today. An older retired gentleman that knows a lot about these loaders and transmissions, so I didn't get as much video as I want. As you can see, the loader is in a little different shape than last time you've seen it, but let me show you what I found. So we finished checking all the easy stuff from the neutralizer valve, the torque converter valve. We come to the conclusion that it was probably the pressure modulating valve. That's what it was called. And it's actually in the top of the transmission. So I had to jack the cab up and get that booger wiggled out of there. I actually got it over here on the bench. This is the transmission control valve. I'm not even going to pretend like I remember what these are. This is the neutralizing valve. This is the modulator valve. This is the selector valve on how it controls when you're in forward reverse. It breaks the oil flow to let it go smooth. And these two things here, this is forward and reverse, and that's your 1, 2, 3, 4 gears. But long story short, the whole problem with this whole thing is that little bitty speck of dirt right there got stuck in that orifice. And it got stuck in that orifice because this screen fell apart. It's supposed to have a cap on the bottom of it and allowed that to get into there. There's the other part of it there. This cap is supposed to be glued on the bottom of there. It came off and allowed stuff to get in that orifice. And that got stuck in there and got the orifice. Caterpillar actually had a few updates on this orifice I was able to find on the internet. And if you read right there, it says that the failure could cause intermittent or constant restriction of the orifice, could delay or prevent pressure in the transmission clutches, which is the exact scenario we have. Fortunately enough, they were able to give me a new part number, and believe it or not, the local Caterpillar dealership has that stupid part number in stock. 15 bucks, which tells me that this ain't a new problem. Somebody else has had this same problem, so 99% convinced that's my issue. I'm gonna pick up parts tomorrow, throw it back together, and hopefully get it operating again. So I don't know. It's hard to believe a little bitty piece of dirt that you can barely even see is enough to cripple an entire machine, but I believe that's the scenario we got. So I'll get the part tomorrow, throw it in, and confirm that's the problem. I really hope it is, because I air tested all the clutches in the transmission. They seem to be fine. There's no shavings coming out of the torque converter. I'm pretty much got eliminated down to that little bitty screen, so hoping that's what it is. Get this booker thrown back together and back to work. All right, guys, I just got back from my parts run. There's my little screen in there. 16 bucks. Not bad, I guess, if that's the problem. But wanted to give you a quick, down and dirty explanation of how this thing works, because I think it's a kind of a cat issue. They use this same valve body in loaders, graders, dozers, multiple different things. And from what little bit of research I did, it's kind of an issue with this particular valve body. But basically, you got a modulator valve in the control valve on the transmission, and all that does is modulates or controls the pressure in the transmission torque converter circuit. And anytime you switch a gear or go forward reverse, or anytime you engage or disengage a clutch, it interrupts the pressure in the system, and that's how you can switch gears without letting off the throttle, and it kind of has that little bit of pause and comes and goes, and it's not real jerky. It's a smooth transition. Well, this little orifice right here is what the size of the hole in that orifice controls how fast that pressure comes back. Oil goes through that orifice, hits the control side of the valve, and allows it to build pressure. So if this screen had a bigger hole, pressure is going to come back faster. Had a smaller hole, pressure is going to come back slower. Well, in my case, it was plugged up, so pressure never came back, is what I believe is my issue. So If anybody's got any questions about that or wants more details on how that works, I'll be more than happy to tell them what little bit I know. But that's the long short of how this works and how that little bitty hole in this thing completely crippled my loader. So go put this booger in and see what we got. All right, guys, the older gentleman I have helping me here is Bill Goffnett. His resume is just mind-boggling. It would probably take an hour video or better to cover what all this guy's accomplished in his life. He is a retired maintenance supervisor for Malzers Corporation, or Malzers Crushed Stone. Malzers is a very large quarrying operation in our area. 5 or 6 quarries, multiple retail yards, towboats on the river, asphalt, concrete. They kind of got their hands in everything. For 35 plus years, he overseen every piece of equipment they own, from maintenance to purchase to life expectancy, etc. Just a wealth of knowledge. I hate that something has to break for us to hang out, but the knowledge to be learned from this gentleman is just crazy. And I truly enjoy the time we get to spend together in the shop. He's retired now. I think he enjoys coming up and pitching in and giving me a hand. And I honestly appreciate every little bit of help I can get. And it's just a joy and a pleasure to work with a guy like him. There's so much to be learned whenever he's around. He's one of those guys that's teaching you and don't even know he's doing it. So just want to say thanks to Bill.
I didn't want to happen, but it did.
Alright.
Let me get this pushed back in.
got the loader back together. We're getting ready to hop in this thing and see if it'll move out of here. I did a pressure check on the transmission after I got it in. I had pressure, so pretty confident it's gonna work, but just in case it don't, I'm gonna wear my lucky hat, improve my odds. So let's climb up here and hope this thing backs out of the shop. Say a prayer. Check that out. Boys, I think we're back in business. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, if you could just take a few seconds to hit that thumbs up button, that'd be greatly appreciated. And if you want to make sure you don't miss out on the next great adventure or the next project on Dirt Perfect, hit that subscribe button.